Hey, what's good, y'all? Jay here from Conversations with Jay. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for being here, Jay.
It's my pleasure.
So you was here, day 15, Diddy trial. What's your thoughts on the witness that came to testify about the hotel footage? We'll start there.
The one that came to testify about the hotel footage I thought was interesting because to me, I thought the angle for the prosecution was not only to kind of authenticate the video and show that, the video is legit, but also I think they're trying to get ahead of a possible appeal because there was talk about not getting that original video in the first place because it was edited and it was faster than it was supposed to be and stuff like that. And so I think what the prosecution did is they slowed it down with this video forensic guy to the speed that it was supposed to be at. He actually testified that nobody actually purposely, he doesn't think a human actually manually went and sped it up. He said it was just glitchy. So he said basically that's kind of how it is, and he walked the jury through that. So I think they were trying to authenticate the video and then get ahead of a possible appeal because, the defense, they're going to say that video had nothing to do with sexual trafficking. It had nothing to do with any of the RICO predicate acts, and it had nothing to do with moving a prostitute across state lines. So why was the video there in the first place? So that was their angle. And I think if they lose, they're going to try to appeal, saying the video, the sped up version already sullied the jury and made them feel like, they are, because, a lot of the jury already saw it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So they said they're going to say that, and the jury was thinking with their hearts and not their minds. And the video shouldn't have been in there in the first place. I could see them making that argument. So I think it was a good move for the prosecution to bring that in there.
So do you think that Diddy hurt his chances to raise that on appeal, given the fact that he made an apology video towards Cassie shortly after it was released?
No, because the apology that he made to Cassie wasn't, I apologize for trafficking you. I apologize for moving you across state lines. And it certainly wasn't, I apologize for running a RICO at your expense. It was, I apologize for beating you. And that's not what he's charged for. So that won't hold up in the appeal. That'll be a tough appeal to win, I imagine. But I'm sure they're trying to plant every seed for in the event if he loses, right?
So moving forward to the next witness, Brianna. That was a pretty explosive testimony. So walk me through Brianna's testimony based on your perception.
Yeah, I just did a video on this, which started off very explosive because right after she kind of said who she was, I'm Brianna, I'm a creative designer, whatever, the lawyer that was doing the direct, she goes, "Sir, what happened on September 2016? And she goes, "Well, I was dangled off of a 17th floor balcony by Puff." And immediately everybody in the room where we were at were like, "What?" And so they really started off strong. We'll see tomorrow if they, on the redirect, if they can get back some momentum. But after they kind of went through everything and then she got at the end of her direct, she went and got into the actual details of what happened. But after that, Nicole Westmoreland just eviscerated her. Like it was, I saw people getting up and leaving because they were frustrated for whatever reason. People were like making a lot of noise in the room I was in, so much so that the security kept having to tell us keep our voices down.
So
keep
what
down.
was triggering them?
I think because she was getting caught in so many inconsistencies, and also just a lot of things, a lot of times when she could have answered the question, she would say, "I don't remember," or "I don't know." Even if she answered the question already, and then she was asked it again in a different way, she would say, "I don't remember," or "I don't know." And she kept going to that. Now, I know why, because she has immunity, but her immunity is only based off of if she makes truthful statements and no lies, right? That's why Nicole Westmoreland asked her about the immunity in the beginning of the cross. So to remind her, like, you got to tell the truth or you're going to lose that immunity. And she had immunity because she was selling drugs. She was selling drugs to Cassie. She was doing drugs with Cassie. She said that they were doing drugs every single day. And then she said, okay, but most days, not every day. She said it started weekly, then it went more and more. And they were doing every drug under the sun, even something called Cocoa Puffs.
So Cocoa Puffs is what we call a juice joint, where they take marijuana and sprinkle the cocaine on it. So
Yeah.
another thing involving the buying and the selling of the illegal substances. We're going to call it illegal substances.
Right.
Now, because she was naming everything under the sun.
Right.
In conclusion, based on the case, what you heard on TV, the few days that you've been here, do you think the government could substantiate a theory of racketeering? And before you answer that, I want you to know that today, Brianna testified that Rob Holiday, her friend, who was her friend before she met Cass and before she met Diddy, she testified that Rob Holiday called her while he was in Diddy's backyard, pretty much trying to coerce her to take a deal with Diddy and not cooperate with a civil suit or this criminal prosecution, do you feel like that that's an element of racketeering, specifically witness tampering?
No, I don't. The reason why is I don't know who's going to believe that lady after Nicole Westmoreland is finished with her, because all of her credibility is out the window. She's clearly a drug addict.
Do you think she was high today?
Here's the thing. I think either she was high today, she's clean now. I don't know if she's high today, just lying, or if her brain is just fried from all the drugs.
Yeah. Do you feel like that Rob Holiday being in Diddy's
No.
backyard at the time in which he contacted her, you know, the feds, when they come out there, they send you a letter of intent.
Yeah.
So with that said, I do believe Diddy was already on notice that the feds was investigating him. And for Rob Holiday, her friend, to be on the phone with her, trying to get her to take a deal with Diddy, do you not feel like that's an element of witness tampering?
No, because they were speaking of, and again, that's not going to be in the transcript for the jury to consider. Number one, the jury would have to believe her, and she's clearly inconsistent with a lot of her statements. Number two, you would also have to have the element of Rob Holiday not talking about the criminal thing, but saying, hey, we want to see if there's a settlement for her actual lawsuit. Remember, when he called her, it was right after she filed her actual lawsuit. So if you're saying, hey, I have a right to see if I'm supposed to deal with this person who's suing me, and that's what I was talking to him about, nothing about the criminal trial, that's game. And I think that people think that Diddy's stupid. If you look, I feel like he's talking to his lawyers before he makes any move. I think he's talking to his lawyers. You don't become a very successful businessman and have these Harvard-educated people saying, I look up to him. He's a brilliant businessman. He's this and that, damn near worth $1 billion, has all these successful businesses, and be stupid. There haven't been many stupid things I've seen. There's a couple, but not stupid things that I'm seeing him do. So I think he's been protecting himself a good bit. And I think for that Rob Holiday thing, I think he protected himself there.
Oh, that's interesting. So you said Diddy did a couple of stupid things. Can you list them?
The first stupid thing I think he did, well, the most recent thing that I remember from yesterday is when he was buying the tape. This guy went and let Eddie Garcia call the boss and not put it on speakerphone. And that's what screwed him. Because when he called the boss to ask for the IDs, for the boss to give him the 3 IDs, the Israel guy's ID, Eddie's ID, and the supervisor's ID, Eddie Garcia said that the supervisor agreed that Israel ain't gonna give it.
Right.
But they agreed that on the phone. And then they got the 3 IDs and gave the 3 IDs to
Went
Diddy.
with another person. Israel didn't give it
Yes.
to another guy.
They got Henry to give it, but Henry wasn't the one that was there. It was Israel.
And they
But
tricked
Diddy
Diddy.
was, yeah, they tricked him. He was so high out of his mind when he was doing that, or angry or whatever, that he looked at it and said, yeah, that's him, but it wasn't him.
Is Israel the guy that came up to
Yes,
save Cassidy?
exactly. He's the one that came up, and he's the one that is now LAPD officer. He's the one that did the recorded the screen of the actual original video.
And then another thing I seen, Israel, when he came up to check on Cassie, according to this Intercontinental video, when he was talking to Diddy, he was kind of smiling. Do you feel like that was misogynistic, or do you feel like he was just doing it to de-escalate the situation?
I think he was doing it to de-escalate the situation 100%. I think he even testified to him just trying to de-escalate the situation. I think his exact words were something like, no, we don't need to get this going any further. Let's try to de-escalate it. Something like that. But yeah, he was trying to de-escalate the situation. I don't think he was on Diddy's side at all.
Absolutely. So based on everything you've heard in the news and from being inside of the courtroom, if you was on the jury and you would have to render a decision right now, would you put not guilty or guilty?
I'll put not guilty on all charges. And the crazy thing is, the lady that was here yesterday, she said, I don't agree with you, but one thing I know for sure, there's people who think like you that are on the jury. Remember, this is a New York jury. New Yorkers are very wise. New Yorkers are very smart. And New Yorkers have seen a lot. It's hard to trick them. And I think there's a lot of people on this jury that have their eyebrows up. So the bottom line is, this is going to be a tough prosecution win. And if they win, as long as it's fair, then we should respect whatever the jury's decision is. And if they move one way or the other, and as long as it's fair, we respect it.